Giants went down to Philadelphia for their first ever Christmas Day game and fell to the Eagles 33-25 in one that really came down to the wire. Welcome to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champ Shaun O'Hara, the two-time Super Bowl champ Jonathan Casillas. JC, thanks for coming by the show today. You guys, this one really came down to it. It was a 20-3 score at the half. Giants turn it around, make a change at quarterback, putting Tyrod Taylor in, get a couple of turnovers and takeaways on the defensive and special teams plays, and that really made this one a ball game, Shaun.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Brian Daboll for making that move to Tyrod Taylor. We were all saying, what's wrong with Tommy DeVito? Is he hurt? They come out at halftime, boom, it's Tyrod, and they almost pulled off the Christmas miracle. I mean, to think that it was down to that last play, and if somehow, some way, they found a way to score, get the two-point conversion, tie this game. You mentioned it, being down 23 at halftime. I mean, you look at the stats. Philly piled up almost 500 yards of total offense in this game. It should have never been a contest, but credit this Giants team. They kept fighting. They kept swinging. They get a couple of fortuitous plays, a pick six by Dory Jackson, and next thing you know, they're in the game. I think the Giants, when they go back and look at this film and they break it down, they're going to say, we lost this game because we failed on short yardage situations. I go back to the 4th and 1. They decide to go for it. They run and play. Nobody blocks Hassan Reddick. That was a huge miss. 4th and 4, they get an unbelievable penalty on John Michael Schmitz, the center. I have no idea what the heck they were calling there. The head bob, he's been doing it all game. We miss out on that opportunity. And then a 3rd and 1, later on in the game, in the 4th quarter, Darren Waller's wide open. Tyrod just can't get the ball to him. Those short situations, John, we work on it all the time during the week, during the season. It's situations in the game where this can make or break the game. You convert those, now all of a sudden you maybe get some points. That you don't have to come down to that last second drive or last second play. So those things are things that are going to really sting them as they get on the bus and come back home after this loss, because it was so close to stealing this win from Philly.
Yeah, and historically it hasn't been close with these two teams, especially the Giants going down to Philadelphia, and they kept it competitive. They stayed in the game. They capitalized on some of the Philadelphia mistakes, which we really haven't seen in the past. So there's no consolation prize here for losing a game, but the Giants have put forth a valiant effort against a really strong team in the division, and the Giants haven't done well in the division against Dallas, against Philadelphia. But they go down to Philly, they put forth a competitive effort, they run the ball, they throw the ball, they get some turnovers on defense, and they made it a game in the 4th quarter, and it came down to the last play. So I definitely got to tip my hat to the Giants, and it's something, look, it ain't the biggest Christmas gift, but it put a smile on some of our faces. We got something to really talk about now in the post-game show.
And the game was, it went down to the wire. At halftime, it was kind of like, all right, start passing the eggnog here. Like, we can't tackle anybody. The defense was looking a little sloppy, and then they made some big plays.
The tale of two halves kept it interesting. One of the big plays, of course, was a Dory Jackson 76-yard pick six, his first career touchdown. He's now on the field with our Paul Dottino. Let's sit it down.
Dory, I know it's a tough loss, but you just had your first touchdown off an interception return of your NFL career. I'm sure that had to be pretty thrilling.
Man, just God is amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, I prayed and waited for moments like this. It's crazy that it happened 7 years later, but to get my first one, pretty special. That's why I ain't had no celebration, but to give praise to God in the end zone, because, man, it's been a long time coming, but I'm just thankful to have that moment.
Crazy fight here against the Eagles. It comes down to the final drive, which I think is probably going to surprise people, but you guys had fight.
Yeah, I just wish it doesn't have to always come to that last drive. That 3rd and 20, not really getting them down and stopping them, I feel like that hurt us, but just the way we battled, the fight that we have, that gives you a little bit of motivation, a little bit of a sense of you can go out there and fight and battle with the best of them, because the Eagles are the best, one of the best of them.
Yeah, and then finally Swift grounded out on that last drive to get them that last field goal. I'm sure that didn't make you happy either.
It had to be Christmas, because there was we stopped him, bottled him up on the right side. He gets around, it looked like it was like a college or high school play, Pop Warner, and bounced the other way and keep him balanced, man. It was a crazy game, but hats off to them. They're a great team.
Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Be
Take
well.
care. Appreciate it.
That's our Paul Dottino with the Dory Jackson as we take a look at his numbers today. First career touchdown on that 76-yard pick six, and one called for the horse collar as Jalen Hurts tackled him in the end zone. But one of the things that Dory mentioned too was that 3rd and 20. That was a really pivotal play. Of course, they're getting into us. They're making this game interesting, and then the Eagles are allowed that opportunity. And Casillas, you mentioned this when we were watching the game earlier, how much more involved A.J. Brown was in that second half. He, of course, was the recipient of that catch.
Yeah, it looked looked like they made a conscious effort to get him going in the second half. You know, one catch for 7 yards in the first half, and he did all his damage in the second half, including that 20-something yard catch on 3rd and 20. And look, Adoree said it. They didn't play great football at the end defensively to stop them. And I love the way the defense speaks, because they feel like when they win games, it's because of what they do and how they function. And they didn't do enough late in that game. They didn't tackle well enough to stop the run when they knew Philly was going to run the football, to get them off the field, to get their offense in a better position to win the game and not be 8 points down instead of 5 points down.
Yeah, there was a lot of missed tackles, not just in the running game too, but you saw receivers catching the ball, breaking some arm tackles. That 3rd and 20, that's a crushing blow. You know, defensively, 3rd and 20, we got them right where we want them. They get the first down. Now it's like, all right, we got to go, new set of downs. Takes the wind out of your sails. And the ironic thing is, on 3rd and 20, what do you think Wink Martindale's going to do on 3rd and 20? You think pressure's coming, right? No, it was a 4-man rush. And Wink had been blitzing Jalen Hurts all game long, and it just seemed like for most of the game, Jalen Hurts was ahead of that. Like, he knew, all right, blitz is coming from the right side, I'm going to the left side. He was right on cue every single time we sent a blitz. And even when we had an unblocked defender, we had Pinnock come free at one time, he was able to avoid him, you know, and that's so deflating as a defense and as a coach when you've got the perfect play call, you've got the perfect defense, the guy's right there, and he can't bring the quarterback down, can't get the sack. So it seemed like an uphill struggle defensively. I also just, you know, you go back to some of the plays. Bobby Okereke had a chance. Ball goes right between his hands, all right? Dropped interception right there. Isaiah Simmons almost has an interception, a one-handed pick six if he catches that screen pass right there. Those little plays right there could have certainly turned the game around, but I thought the defense, you know, look, the one thing that I will say, aside from the tackling individually, they had to get pressure, more pressure. The reason why Wink has to blitz is because they're not getting to the quarterback. There is no pass rush right now. And I know it's a good offensive line, but they've got to get home.
Right, they got to get home, indeed, especially when you've got that within reach. It's a 2-point game at that point. But, you know, they kept it interesting. We've got much more to come as we continue to break this one down. But first, a reminder, the guests of our post-game show received a gift certificate to Ben and Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben and Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. We'll hear from head coach Brian Daboll and more. Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna, rolls on after this quick break. Stay with us. Time now for the scoring drive of the game, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giants fans. For the drive of the game, we bring you to the fourth quarter. It was just 2 plays, but it was 75 yards, took 42 seconds off the clock, capped by a 69-yard touchdown reception by Darius Slayton, the longest offensive play of the season for this New York Giants team. It made it 30-25 game. The Eagles would win this one 33-25. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna, as the Giants fell to the Eagles, but they made it interesting. Head coach Brian Daboll made a switch at quarterback, going from Tommy DeVito to Tyrod Taylor at the half. Here's the head coach at the podium talking postgame.
You made your quarterback switch at halftime.
Merry Christmas, by the way.
Same to you. You made your quarterback switch at halftime. What was going into that?
Just try to spark the team. You know, I don't really have anything else to add on it. Just did it to try to spark the team. So.
What'd you say to Tommy?
So we're gonna go with Tyrod. I know, made some plays. I mean, started out second half good. Obviously on that kickoff return, had an interception for the touchdown. I thought he made a great play on a high 7 route to Slay. But that was the reason for it.
What wasn't working in that first half?
I witnessed 20 points. We were 1-8 on third down.
What was the mechanics on the right before the spike there? You probably could have gotten 2 plays off, it seemed like, with the ball, throw the Waller.
Yeah, Darren went down a little. He kind of went down, and he fought his way to get back to the huddle to stay in. So it would have been a 10-second runoff.
You have 2 games left. Where do you go now with your quarterback position?
Yeah, I'm just worried about tonight here. We'll talk about that here this week.
You had said, though, that Tommy had earned it.
Yeah,
right.
So I made a spark. I don't really have anything else to add about it right now. I made a change to try to make a spark.
Dave, how much did Swift change that game for them?
He's a good player. He made some really good plays, some cutback plays, some bounce-out plays. Talked about him before the game. He's a good football player. I mean, they played well. give them credit. Came down to the end and just quite didn't get it done.
You seem pretty riled up. Is there what in particular?
Yeah, because it was a competitive game, so you don't like to lose.
What did they tell you about the false start on John Michael Schmidt?
Yeah, you can ask those guys.
What did they tell you then?
Yeah, you can ask the refs.
The play down the first half.
What's that?
The one down the first half. The one that.
Yeah, I'd say with any official questions, you can ask those guys.
Did Bobby do what he was coached to do there? Bobby Ferrique at the end of the
Yeah, I mean they got a field goal out of it, so that was good. They got a field goal, not a touchdown.
The first half there with Tommy, you really didn't get the ball down the field at all. I think it was like 1.1 air yard per attempt. With Tyrod, you obviously were able to get the ball down the field. What was the difference there?
I'd have to look at the tape.
Were you, I mean, the team was in danger of getting blown out at halftime, obviously. Were you, after what has happened here in the past, were you really worried about the second half and, what might happen here?
What's that?
I mean, the team was in danger of getting blown out, obviously, at halftime, and it didn't happen. So, were you worried at halftime that, things could really get out of control here?
Worried at halftime?
Worried at halftime. Your team
go
was
in and
down
make adjustments and come out. It's a 60-minute game. That's it.
How much does this sting to lose to these guys again? I know this is your fourth game against them now. Haven't been
Competitive game. Give them credit.
Injury-wise, where do you stand?
Don't know.
Is Waller? Is Darren okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to the trainers yet, Charlotte.
Anything else?
Anybody else?
All right.
Okay.
We'll bring you two quarterbacks.
That sound from head coach Brian Daboll is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Football Giants. As we just heard from Coach Daboll talking about that one. 33-25 was the final. Said, you know what, making the change at quarterback, Casillas, was about a spark. How much did you see that spark come in that second half?
Well, I mean, right away,
Yeah.
they were able to get some points on the board, right away with the turnover happening really early in the game and then capitalize on that. A couple of Saquon runs and he ended up in the end zone. Look, the football game is built off a lot of momentum, right? The Giants early in the season, they could never grab the momentum back because teams just don't give you the momentum. So, for them to do that, they're trying to figure out what works for them. With 2-3 quarterbacks going down, Daniel Jones going down, Tyrod going down, they're trying to figure out who's going to lead this ship, who's going to be able to make plays, who's going to rally the troops, and he's trying to do anything that he can to do that. And I think it was a good move. It kept him competitive for the whole game. Tyrod wasn't perfect. He made a couple, not so great throws, but he also made some big plays. That play to Slayton was a beautiful ball thrown down the field. Right. And look, and they made it a competitive game. The Giants have been competitive with the Eagles in a long time. Definitely not in 2022. So they, was it the best decision? I don't know. It kept him close. They didn't win the game, but the Giants haven't been winning a lot, and they were trying to figure out a way to get this game when they were down 20-3 at halftime.
Yeah, you got to change something, yeah.
He mentioned providing a spark, and here's what Tyrod did. He was decisive. So he came in. This ball was either coming out of my hand or I'm running for it. Like there was no standing back there taking a sack, and I think that was one of the biggest moves for Brian Daboll. In order to get back into this game, we're down 23. We're gonna have to start throwing the ball. I need someone that's gonna get the ball out right now. So I think Tyrod Taylor, he's processing things just a little bit quicker than a rookie quarterback, and it's not just Tommy DeVito. He's a rookie, so it's gonna be a little slower. You know this. Young quarterbacks take a little bit longer. It's like, all right, that guy's coming. Okay, I gotta go over here. Tyrod's quicker, and even that throw to Slayton, look, the ball came out quick. He made a couple of other big throws. The other one to Darren Waller, he's pulling that cord. He's letting it rip. And when he wasn't, he found a way to scramble for a first down a couple different times. So I think that was the biggest reasoning for why we would go for Tyrod.
Yeah.
Not that Tommy did anything wrong.
Right.
But you're 1 for 8 going into halftime. Look, we got to make a change.
One of the questions that Daboll was asked about, and that he, said, hey, you got to ask the officials, is a moment that had a lot of us baffled watching the game too. That call on John Michael Schmitz, where he lifted his head up and down and up again. And Shaun, as a center, can you explain, if that's something that he does on a regular play versus, what the call is there?
As a former center, that's a terrible call. And Dable can't say that because he's going to get fined, but they can't fine me. So, yeah, that was an awful call. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Come on, Zebras. And it's 4th and 4, and the guy jumps off sides. So here's the issue, all right? There are times where the referee used to come up and warn me, hey, you can't be jerky. You got to bring it up, and then you got to stop, and you got to go. You can't bring it up really quickly and try to draw them off. But the problem is that John Michael Schmitz was doing that all game, and it was the same motion, and he didn't bring it up, boom, and then wait and then snap. He actually was moving left and right after he brought his head up. So I thought it was a bad call because the one guy jumped. If all 4 had jumped, then I understand, okay, you know what, he tried to simulate a snap, but that's something that should not happen. Normally, I would have a referee come over and say, hey, 60, you got to slow it down a little bit. It's a little too quick. You know, you've got to have a little bit more of a smooth motion. It can't be a herky-jerky motion to try to draw them off. I don't think that's what was happening on that play, and the fact that it was 4th and 4,
right.
Man, that's huge. You get that? You got him off sides. Yeah. Justin Pugh was already signaling first down. He was already marching off the 5-yard penalty, and instead, you know, Brian Dable was upset about it. And he's not going to talk about it because he doesn't want to make a Christmas donation.
Exactly. And if you're on the defensive side of the ball, you're saying, okay, this is what he usually does versus this is something.
Oh, I'm pointing at the center. I'm snitching.
Yeah.
I'm snitching. But the thing is, has he been doing it all game? Because if he has been doing it in the game, and I'm a defender, I'm going to call it out, tell the ref should go warn him, right? Yeah. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, usually they do.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got much more to come here as we continue to break this one down. A Christmas Day loss in Philadelphia, but they kept it interesting. And Giants fans, check out the Coach Dable Show presented by Ford. We'll look back on today's game and take a look ahead at next week's matchup. It's the Coach Dable Show, airing every week on MSG Networks and on the Giants YouTube channel. Stay with us. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna. Hey Giants fans, 2024 season tickets are on sale now. To learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, just scan the QR code on your screen or call 888-NYG-1925 and speak with a Giants representative. Limited ticket inventory is available. Make your call today. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna. The Giants went down to Philadelphia and fell to the Eagles 33-25. Let's send it out to the locker room where Darius Slayton is with our Paul Dottino.
So I don't know if you know this, but the 69-yard touchdown catch, which made it a one-score game, was the longest of your Giants' career. Pretty explosive play and certainly had to give you guys a lot of energy.
Yeah, I mean, it was heck of a throw by Tyrod. I mean, it was a bomb by him. I was able to run up under it and kind of get us in striking range right there.
I know you guys got some turnovers, but what was it about the offense that added that spark that allowed you guys to come back and make it a war?
I think that we got the run game going, which was big. You know, we were able to break off some runs, which kind of helped open it up on the back end a little bit, and we started to play a better complementary football there down the stretch.
This rivalry between the Giants and Eagles, there have been so many real brutal games that come down to the end. Do you almost come to expect that it's going to end like this?
Yeah, I mean, we know we gonna fight. We know they gonna fight, and you know, we expect it to be a 4-quarter game. And you know, even though in the first half we got down a little bit there, we weren't discouraged. We knew we were going to find a way to get back in the game, and we were able to, and just weren't quite able to seal the deal at the end there.
You had about 70 seconds or so left on the final drive, no timeouts. Could you take me through that drive in terms of what you guys were talking about, what you were looking for?
Just trying to get chunks. You know, at that point you need at least 1 or 2 big plays to kind of get you in striking range, and you're obviously in between clocking the ball versus going hurry up and just snapping it fast. And I think we did a pretty solid job of operating for the most part, and we gave ourselves a chance at the end there and just came up a little short.
There was a lot of traffic in the end zone, a lot of bodies flying around and hitting the ground. I don't want to see you get in trouble, but I think there was a lot of contact. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I was running a route myself, so I didn't see what transpired, but, you know, based on the reactions, you know, I'm sure there was some contact in the end zone, but ultimately that's at the discretion of the officials at that time, you know, so it is what it is.
Darius, thanks for your time.
Sure, appreciate it.
That's Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton with our Paul Dottino as we take a look at his numbers today against the Eagles. 3 receptions, 90 yards. Of course, that 69-yard one was a long one. But as Paul was asking about, that last drive of the game, the Giants had a shot. They had the ball in their hands with just over a minute to play. Tyrod Taylor was moving them down the field a little bit. That last pass into the end zone, into a lot of traffic. It's tough when there's, some tugging, some jersey pulling and getting separation in a must-win situation like that, Shaun.
Yeah, Paul Dottino is trying to get him fined as well, and I'll say it because Slayton couldn't say it, just like Dable couldn't say it. Yeah, there was a lot of bodies on the ground. It was a mosh pit, and look, defensive players know as the last play of the game, they're probably not going to call a penalty. So there was definitely a lot of contact, a lot of pushing and shoving. They call it posturing. You've got to posture for the ball, but. Give credit to Darius Slayton. That route that he ran and the throw from Tyrod, not only just the catch of the sideline, but then to outrun Reed Blankenship and find a way to tiptoe up to the end zone and make that a score. That was a heck of a play. And Slayton's been the big play Slay guy for us. He's been that playmaker. And I go back to even last week, the first play of the game. Right. Look, he ran right by the corner of Debo, and it was just a near miss by Tommy DeVito. So he has that playability, that big playability, and I know he was excited to make that play to get them back into this game. It was just too few and too far in between. Yeah, and it's tough when you see it come down to it, but when you're in that position, especially largely due to what the defense had been able to do for this team, JC, what does that feel like for a team to be in that moment?
At the end of the game? Yeah. Well, look, you fought so hard, and everybody knows the history between these two teams. And you fought so hard, and you're like, we got these guys right where we want them. It didn't start out hot, being 23 at halftime. All of a sudden, you make some plays, you create some turnovers, and you're right where you need to be at late in the games. But like I said, that drive where the defense couldn't really get them off the field. And I know this defense. I know these guys. They take a lot of, onus on and responsibility for what they're doing and what they're bringing to the table. And it's just a couple of plays late in the game where they just failed to execute. It didn't come down to that last play in the game. That's not what it came down to. Right. It was a couple plays that preceded that the Giants didn't execute. Only 14 total first downs, 3 or 14 on third down. Like, there's a lot of plays that they could have made during the game that could have helped them out at the end, where they could have maybe just kicked a field goal or maybe had an actual drive and get to a touchdown and not a Hail Mary.
Exactly. 33-25 is the final as the Giants fall to the Eagles in Week 16. We've got more to come, but Giants fans want to remind you to subscribe to the Giants Podcast Network for a variety of team podcasts featuring conversations with Giants players, coaches, fans, and legends, plus NFL analysts, business professionals, influencers, and more. Available on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and Google. It's Giants Podcast Network. We've got more to come after the break. Tommy DeVito got the start today. Even though he didn't finish, he will be at the podium. Hear from quarterback Tommy DeVito up next.
How would you,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
First and foremost.
Merry Christmas.
How would you sum up your night?
A little bit of a roller coaster, but wish we could have came out with the win in the end.
What did Coach Dable tell you at halftime? What were his words to you, and how did you feel when he told you?
That he was going to go with Ty. He wanted to have a spark, a change needed to be had, and I understand it. It's business. We weren't doing great on offense in the first half. I'm not sure what the numbers were, but we're not scoring enough points, so a change was made, try to get a spark, and that was that.
What problems were they presenting to you in the first half?
Again, I think it's more of an execution thing, on third downs especially. Obviously, we're taking care of the ball, doing that deal, but I think we just need to stay on the field. That's all it really is, third downs.
How much do you learn? How much do you take away from an experience like this?
It's just a constant reminder that it's a business. They're always going to try to find someone to replace you, whatever it is, but at the same day, it is a business. It's your job. I respect it. There's no, feelings one way or another. Listen, I was hoping Ty was going to go out there and ball, and we would win the game. I'm not, it's nothing more than that, but that's all it is.
What do you expect now for next week?
I'm not sure. I'm going to keep my routine the same. I'm going to work, watch the film, do all that, and then at the end of the day, it's not me or Ty's decision. It's up to the coaches.
to say to the idea?
Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito got the start today in Philadelphia, but of course the coach made a change at halftime and went with Tyrod Taylor for the second half. Casillas, you know, going into that, we were saying, interested to see how the rookie handled that situation. What did you make of his reaction?
Well, he sounded mature. You know, he sounded like a vet in his response, you know, and it's an emotional day for him. You know, he's playing, you know, at high level. For a couple of weeks, you know, won a couple games, lost a couple of games, and all of a sudden you're playing in Philly and you get benched at halftime. That hurts. That sucks. You know, I've been pulled from games. I don't know about you, Shaun. Shaun's a pretty good player.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
All reliable.
But it's rough, especially when you're that young and maybe he hasn't dealt with that before in the past, you know, and then being put on a podium in a losing effort as the losing quarterback that got benched. That doesn't really happen too much, but I think he handled it well. You know, he sounded like a mature veteran, you know, and he's looking forward to getting back to the week of practice, you know. Can't take anything from the kid. You know, the kid was, you know, I wouldn't say borrowed time, but like he was a third-string quarterback, you know, and they're put the backup back in, and Tyrod's won a lot of games in the league, you know, and I think he understands it, and I know Tyrod's been helping him as well too, so I know they have a great relationship, and I'm happy about what I heard from his response.
Yeah. I think two things jump out at me. Number one, with Tommy DeVito, his poise, both on and off the field. The poise at the podium. Look, as you're a quarterback, you have to go up to the podium. That's different. And no other player has to do that every single game, win or lose. So I think he's handled all that. And the second thing that jumps out at me is that his answer is to let you know he's about the team. And look, as disappointed as he was that he didn't get to finish that game playing the second half, yeah, I'm rooting on Tyrod. I hope Tyrod goes out there and balls out. Like, I think you have to respect that mindset of him. He's a rookie. He's still a young kid. He's learning it. But I think he also understands this is a production league. If things aren't working, there is going to be a change. There's going to be changes with coaches, with players, with scheme. Like, nothing stays consistent. Nothing stays constant. But I think he also understands just things weren't working. Like, we couldn't stay on the field. We could not convert on third down. Whether it was not, you know, me not getting rid of the ball or just not us converting, something had to change. So I think he understands that that's the way the league is. And, you know, look, nothing changes for him. He's going to prepare and practice like he's going to play, because even if he doesn't start next week, he's one play away from going in and doing what Tyrod had to do.
Right. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And the Giants players walk around this facility with shirts that say, "We is greater than me." Tommy absolutely embodied that in his post-game presser. But just as Brian Dable made the change from Tommy DeVito to Tyrod Taylor, we will do that now, too, as we send it back down to the podium. Tyrod Taylor is speaking.
How did you...
Merry Christmas.
How did you get the word? Tell me, what did Coach Dable say to you, and when did he say it?
In the halftime break. Told me he was going with me, and just go out there, do your thing, and be ready.
Did you feel like you were ready?
Yeah. I mean, I've said this from day one. Ever since 2011 when I got drafted, I treat, regardless of my position on the roster, I treat each and every day as if I'm the starter, the way I prepare mentally, physically, just my mindset going into a game. So, yeah, I felt prepared. Obviously, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, close, but ultimately it wasn't the outcome we wanted.
The very last play, looked like you were directing traffic in the end zone. Tell me about that.
Trying to get some movement back there. I think it was a couple of flags that could have been thrown, but it's not my place. I'm here to play the game, and ultimately we wasn't able to execute on that last play.
Who are you looking for? Was it one?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I mean, just trying to get a bunch of movement. I mean, obviously on those type of plays, you just try to get a guy where you may possibly get him one-on-one, get him a chance to make a play. I think that their guys were kind of restricting our guys physically without saying too much from making those plays. But like I said, it's not our job to make the calls. It's our job to go out there and play.
In your experience, is that common that they kind of let those last few plays kind of play out?
I mean, that's what they say, but that's not fair. If it's a call, then call it. Like, it shouldn't be a last play mentality. If it's a call and if it's blatant, then it should be called. It should be honored just like it's the first play of the game.
Talk about the touchdown pass to Slayton. What happened? What did you see?
We was able to get one of our levels concept, get Slayton up on the safety one-on-one. And I like that matchup as well as he does any day of the week.
Giants quarterback Tyrod Taylor, 7 completions, 133 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception as the Giants fall to the Eagles 33-25 on Christmas Day, the very first Christmas Day game for these New York Football Giants. We'll continue to recap this one, hear from more players on Giants Postgame Live presented by Moderna. We're back with more after this. Time now for our Player of the Game presented by HCL Tech, supercharging progress, the official digital transformation partner of the New York Giants. Player of the Game, of course, Giants running back Saquon Barkley, 23 rushing attempts for 80 yards on the ground, plus a rushing touchdown, not to mention a 2-point conversion that he powered through as well. The Giants fall to the Eagles 33-25. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna. The Giants had a chance to get this one into the end zone. They were driving down the field. Tyrod Taylor hit Darren Waller with about 30 seconds left in the game, but he was slow to get up. Took about 10 seconds off the clock, and the Giants had the clock winding down. Darren Waller's talking about this play now with our Paul Dottino in the locker room. Let's send it down.
Yeah, you gotta. They were, they prep you most times. They're like, all right, if you get hurt, you gotta like either get off the field or like get up to clock it. So I was trying to get off the field, and they were like waving me back, so I just ran to get in position to clock it.
How the way this game was back and forth, how frustrating was it to? You guys had the ball with a chance. Obviously, you didn't quite get over the hump there.
That's all you can ask for at the end of the day is a chance at the end to tie the ball game up, and you just got to do something with it. And at the end of the day, we didn't. So.
You think Tyrod gave you guys a spark?
Yeah, no, he made the plays that were there available to him, and yeah, made some plays, gave us some momentum. I feel like he did well.
What kind of plays were you guys looking for with about 70 seconds to go and no timeouts to try to get the ball, downfield?
Yeah, you got to get downfield. Put some 50-50 balls up in the air. We were able to connect on one down there towards the end, but yeah, you gotta push it downfield.
Referring to the play when you had gotten knocked down, it looked like the officials didn't get the ball back spotted quickly. Saquon looked like he was pretty ticked off about it. Do you feel as though there was some I don't want to say sloppiness, but something there that cost you guys some seconds?
I wasn't really fully aware of the situation. I mean, I got my back smoked on that play, so I was trying to like get up and like rush off the field because they say like if you get hurt, like either run off the field or get set up. And so I didn't really see what the refs were doing. Like I was just trying to get lined up after they were waving me back on, so I didn't really see what the refs were doing.
This is your first taste of a Giants-Eagles game. I'm sure you've heard about it before. Did it live up to the kind of billing that you were told, like it's a sumo match?
Yeah, it's old school, for lack of a better term, just a physical, great hostile environment. Yeah, just a great place to play football.
I've also heard a lot about.
That was Giants tight end Darren Waller with our Paul Dottino. But as he was talking about that late in the game drive, it was surprising to see that Waller didn't have his first catch of the game, Casillas, until about 30 seconds left in this game.
Yeah, well, Waller's a guy that is a game changer. He did it for Oakland, right? It was Oakland back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Oakland and Vegas.
And Vegas, too. So in Oakland and Vegas, and then for the Giants as well early in the season. And then, of course, the injuries kind of kept him in his whole career, and then also here in New York. Early on, they tried to give him the ball, not so much great of passes that he was thrown from both quarterbacks, Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor, but they were able to get him the ball late in the game. He's a spark. They talk about Tyrod Taylor being a spark. Darren Waller's a spark. He's a matchup nightmare. Played linebacker for 9 years in the NFL. He would be a guy that I would cover, and I would have to study that guy for years because he is a phenomenal talent, and he can do amazing things if you just get him the ball. And I think the Giants made it an emphasis to get him the ball in the second half.
Yeah, it's funny to hear him talking about 50-50 balls. I feel like when you're a quarterback and you're throwing the ball to him, it's more like 70-30 because he is such a unicorn physically. In this game, you mentioned his first catch is not until almost the end of the game. There was a 3rd and 7 earlier on where it almost looked like he thought he had a chance to catch the ball, and I would say that was a drop. That's a play he would like to have back. That's happened a little too much this season, and I think that's something that he's probably harping on. He's probably working on. But then later on in the game, the 3rd and 1, it was an unbelievable play call. It was great play call with Mike Kafka. The play action, they sold it. Darren Waller blocks for like 2 count and then sneaks behind the safety, and Tyrod just could not get him the ball. That was such a huge swing right there. If they find a way to convert on that play, it could have been a touchdown if it was a better throw. It was underthrown, and Darren couldn't come up with the catch right there. But no doubt about it, he's such a physical force inside. You match him up with a safety, he's going to outmuscle him. A linebacker, he's going to run by him. So he creates a great matchup. You heard Tyrod talking about we like our matchups against certain guys. Certainly Darren Waller, he presents a great opportunity for a mismatch in Giants' favor.
Absolutely. Just too many of those almost moments in today's game as Giants fell to Eagles 33-25. Giants fans, subscribe to Giants text alerts for breaking news, ticket offers, game day updates, and more. Scan the QR code on your screen or text 201-636-1569 to subscribe. We're back with more on Giants Postgame Live presented by Moderna. Stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines because you've got no time for 19. Giants Postgame Live brought to you by Moderna continues after this. Hey Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the new shows. It's the Eli Manning Show. Subscribe today. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live. It's Week 16. It's Christmas Day. The very first time the Giants have played on Christmas Day as they fell to the Eagles 33-25. The offensive line held up quite well, only allowing 1 sack in today's game. Let's send it down to Philadelphia where our Paul Dottino is talking to Justin Pugh.
Justin, you've been a part of enough of these Giants-Philly games over the years to know it's always going to be a tough war. Looked like it was another war out there today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of the guys coming out of the second half. Obviously didn't start out the way we wanted to, but to go out there and keep fighting. There's no moral victories in football. Obviously we got to win the game, but I am proud of how the guys fought and just kept getting after it.
Got a couple of turnovers today, and offensively then you converted on them, and that's always a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, our defense, made some huge plays for us. The pick six, swung the momentum of the game. Hats off to them. They made the plays down the stretch, and we were 1 play short.
The quarterback change, were you guys at all surprised when you came out in the second half and you saw that Taylor was in?
That's a Dayball question.
What about the final drive? You guys had a little over a minute to go. What were you trying to accomplish? Looked like you were able to move the ball, but not quite enough.
Yeah, I mean, we had a minute, no timeouts. We got down there as far as we could, took a shot at the end zone. Didn't go our way. That one hurts. I mean, there's nothing more I wanted than a win in Philly on Christmas. But we'll see them again in 2 weeks. They're a really good team, so it'll be another battle.
Like you said, there was no moral victory tonight, but it still has to feel good that you're coming back here to your hometown and have such a battle tonight where your teammates did not give up.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a testament to the guys in the locker room and how much they care about each other, going out there and playing for each other. Yeah, I mean, obviously my family's all from here, and I know exactly what they were thinking going into the game. So to go out there and battle to the last play is a positive, but there's no more victories in the NFL. We get paid to win games, so we got to start winning these games.
Thank you, Justin.
That's Giants left guard Justin Pugh talking with our Paul Dottino after another Giants-Eagles game. Pugh has seen several of those, and as he told Paul, he's well familiar with the rivalry, with the history in this matchup. But one thing that we usually see in this matchup that we did not see today, a Boston Scott touchdown. Usually this man for the Eagles, every time he's played the Giants, he's scored a touchdown, except for today. Not only did he not get into the end zone, he actually was very charitable and gave the ball up to this Giants team, Shaun.
Yeah, we'll take the gift. The gift right to start the second half. Here you go. Ball's on the 14-yard line. 2 plays later, we're going in for a touchdown. Justin Pugh, for him, he's from just outside of Philadelphia, Holland, Pennsylvania, I believe is where he's from. Went to Council Rock High School. So this was kind of like, a homecoming for him. This offensive line, I thought they played well in spurts. And I have to say the protection was phenomenal. You mentioned it earlier on. Just 1 sack in this game. The last 2 times they've played the Eagles, it was a floodgate. Daniel Jones was sacked 4 times in the regular season game early in the season last year. Playoff game, it was 5 sacks. Nobody could block Hassan Reddick. So I want to give Tyree Phillips some credit here because I thought he did a really good job. The offensive line, pass protection-wise, they held up. The one thing that was frustrating was too many times early on in this game, they did not get to the linebackers. And that's all combination blocks. Now, credit the Eagles' defensive line for keeping them off of those. But when you have combo blocks, you've got to get movement down to the point of attack and then get up to the second level. Shaq Leonard was unblocked multiple times. The linebackers were making too many tackles, and it's because they weren't getting enough push and enough surge. And it made it hard for Saquon Barkley to kind of find some of that daylight. So I think they would have liked to have run the ball a little bit more. He had 23 carries. I'll tell you what, the way the game was in the second half and getting back into it, if it hadn't been such a runaway early on, he could have had over 100 yards if they would have been able to give him some more. But I think those third down conversions is one of the reasons why he didn't get as many more carries.
Yeah, 100%. The Giants, they figured out a way when they won some games this year, how to play complementary football, and it basically started with their defense creating some takeaways. They didn't have any last week, and you saw it's a lopsided game. They had some today, got in the second half, and that got them back into the game. Offensive line, I think they played very well today. Their only sack that they gave up was a miscommunication, basically, where you left Hassan Reddick free. I don't know who that was. That might have even been on a receiver. I don't know.
Well, he was in motion before he moved in, and Darius Slayton thought he had him in, and so. But that's how it goes right there. It was a great performance by the offensive line, solid protection right there. As we're going to take it to break, but we've got more to come here on the show. Giants fans, subscribe to the Giants Podcast Network for a variety of team podcasts featuring conversations with Giants players, coaches, fans, and legends, plus NFL analysts, business professionals, influencers, and more. Is available on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and Google. It's the Giants Podcast Network. More to come here on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna, a Christmas Day edition of our show. We'll be back with more after this, so stay with us. As we close the book on Week 16, we turn the page to Week 17. Next Sunday, Giants back at MetLife Stadium, where they'll close out the season with 2 more home games, starting, of course, with Giants hosting the Rams Sunday at home at MetLife Stadium. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna. Madelyn, Burke, Shaun, O'Hara, and Jonathan Casillas. Of course, the Rams come into town on a long week. They played the Saints on Thursday Night Football this week. They'll have some time to prepare for this Giants team, who's going to be on a short week. But what are your early anticipations of this Rams team coming to town, Shaun? Well,
they're running the football really well. Kyron Williams is a stud, and he's running hard. He's running downhill. I think Matthew Stafford is one of those quarterbacks where he's going to let it rip. He's a gunslinger. That ball's coming out. So ample opportunities defensively. Now, hey, maybe we can get a jump on a pass, get some interceptions, get some turnovers. They will have their hands full, though. Puka Nacua, possibly Rookie of the Year, had a monster game against the Saints, and him and Cooper Kupp, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and look, Matthew Stafford, he's a gunslinger. He's a guy that throws the ball down the field. Megatron, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. You can name the receivers that he's put on the map. But the ability for them to run the football with the Rams, that makes them a viable threat, and it makes them very dangerous. Because, of course, the Cooper Kupp is a beast, and Nacua is too. Yeah. But when you're able to run the ball and the safeties are worried about being in the box and not worried about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and all of the weapons that they have, it makes it a tough task to deal with.
Well, and the Giants, of course, they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention with this loss today. The Rams fighting for a wild card spot with Matthew Stafford at the quarterback, the only quarterback in the NFC who's previously won a Super Bowl. Giants playing spoiler right now at their final 2 home games. When you're in that position as a player, what motivation or how do you motivate for that?
Well, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Wreck 'em.
Yeah,
Wreck 'em.
it's fun. I mean,
channel your inner Ryan Reynolds.
At the end of the day, when you start the season, you're playing to get into the playoffs to make it to the Super Bowl. That's why. And then if that comes, that's not existing anymore, okay, let's knock these guys out. That's fun. And then we have vacation.
And then you have vacation. You know what? And that's how it all goes. Giants have 2 more games at home. We will be here after each of them. Thanks for spending your Christmas with us. Merry Christmas for Casillas and O'Hara. I'm Madelyn Burke. We have 3 generations of O'Hara in the building today.